Okay, good afternoon. My speech is going to be on arguing against Eric Garcetti's authorization to shut off power and water of residents hosting large gatherings or still renting their properties for large parties or other purposes during this time. The government says that the people have their best interest, but their actions say otherwise. Throughout this whole pandemic, the government and health officials have pleaded for us to constantly be washing our hands and keeping healthy. However, how can one keep washing their hands after leaving the house or keep proper hygiene without running water? How can we cook without running water? Yes, we can use disinfectant wipes or hand sanitizers. However, nothing is more effective than the use of soap and water. Soap and water washes off any microbes on one's hands, while hand sanitizer that has no less than 60% alcohol can kill some bacteria, but not all, and it must also be applied with a generous amount for it to be somewhat effective. This information is retrieved from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC. It's now starting to get cooler at night, which means the heater is turned on. Water is being boiled for a cup of tea or hot chocolate. Without warmth, during the winter, one is much more susceptible to getting the common cold or flu, which causes panic in hospitals and overflow of non-COVID patients. Eric Garcetti says that houses that host large gatherings will get their power and water turned off. However, what is a large gathering? Everyone has different interpretations of the term large. The amount of people at Best Buy during Black Friday is a large gathering. Or to someone that hasn't left their house since the start of the pandemic, just having 8 people in their own home is large. Now let's say you invited 2 families over for Thanksgiving, but each family has 6 members in their family. 48 hours later, you awake with no power and no water. You now realize that your nosy neighbor called the city hotline and had your utilities shut off. However, you followed the rules that were given, which were no more than 3 families in a house. Homeowners shouldn't need permission from the city to host gatherings. Gatherings, for the most part, don't break any type of rules set by the cities. Gatherings are private, not public. The utility shutoff also goes for rental properties. So property owners that are just trying to make a living or a bit of extra cash on the side are not being charged and punished for the action of others. Actions that they were probably unaware until the cleaning crew goes to tidy everything up for the next customer, only to discover no power and no water. The description said a small get-together, and one must always give the client the benefit of the doubt. Turning off the electricity to a household wouldn't just affect the warmth or freshness or the convenience of having electronics, but also endanger the lives of those that are on hospital machines. Now more than ever, non-critical patients that can go home only with a ventilator or other types of machines keeping them alive or helping them have increased to keep more hospital beds open for COVID patients. Yes, it is true that most hospital machines have backup batteries or rechargeable batteries, but how will they be able to recharge the batteries in the comfort of their own home without electricity? What if there's children in the house? How will they connect to the internet or charge the computers for class? Now let's say the homeowners had nothing to do with the big party that took place in the house. Most Americans are struggling to make ends meet financially, which is why at the start of the pandemic, power and water were pardoned, but now the city is quick to turn off utilities. If the cost to turn on their power and water back on is more than they can afford, families would have to stay without these utilities for as long as they can bear, or until they can get enough funds to turn their power and water back on. Shutting off the power and water for a single place will not stop large parties. People will just move to other locations, and since they are not the property owners, they have no care in the world for the consequences. The most effective way to hold these accountable and not the properties is to give out citation violations to individuals. during these big parties that were purposely breaking the rules. During the big parties in the hills, the most a policeman did was give out tickets to the cars that were not parked accordingly. Instead, they should have walked into the party and started giving citations to the individuals that were not wearing masks or keeping social distance. I hope I have opened your eyes as to why shutting off the power and water to properties that are said to have large gatherings under their interpretation to whoever may believe is large is not justice and is unfair. Cite the people, not the properties. Nowadays, money hurts more than a couple of days of discomfort. Thank you.